What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my Week 9 running back rankings. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to beat your friends and family in fantasy football and bring home that championship that is. You'll subscribe, post a ton of content here that will help you beat all your friends and family, waiver wire rankings, weekly rankings, reply to all your combos and trade advice, start sets, all that thing, that fantasy asset that you need. I'm here. Subscribe to Fantasy Joe. Hit that like button and hit me up in the comments down below. Really helps out the algorithm, and I respond to all comments. Likes help too. But let's hop into this video. So this Week 9 running back rankings, half-point PPR. At number 1, I've got Austin Ekeler against the Jets. Ekeler looked like himself this last week. I expect him to be heavily involved in the receiving game in this contest. And with McCaffrey and Etienne both out, he is my RB1 of the week. Alvin Kamara, very much considered him for this spot as well, with the matchup against Chicago and the pass catching utilization that he's had so far this season. Saquon, Barkley, he plays Vegas, just a ton of touches this last week. I think Daniel Jones should be back, but I still expect him to get a ton of work. This is a good matchup. For Josh Jacobs in the same game, good matchup for him as well. And another guy is just getting a ton of volume. 5, Derrick Henry, he plays Pittsburgh. I do think that Derrick Henry is going to get a little bit more run with Will Levis, even though he played well last week. I think a rookie quarterback just is going to get the ball a little bit more in the run game. I do think Pittsburgh is going to be well aware of that, have some adjustments to some of this Will Levis offense. But on a 4-day week, how many adjustments can you do? And I still think Derrick Henry is a force. 6, Jonathan Taylor. I think he would be a little bit higher if I knew he was going to get the full workload and if I knew he's 100% healthy. Had 11 carries in that first half last week, only won the second half after he walked off the field. Just something to see today's Wednesday. See if he practices today, I'd have full confidence in him, and this is a great matchup, so he should dominate for fantasy. 7, Breece Hall. He plays the Chargers. Good matchup for him. And Breece Hall's looked fantastic recently. Raheem Mostert, number 8, he plays Kansas City. And then morning game, Mostert hasn't been giving you exactly what you wanted the last couple of weeks, but he's still a really good running back asset, even though he's not the maybe RB2 rest of the season. But if you listen to the trade advice, I was selling to sell high on him for a long time because of that very reason. 9, Bijan Robinson, he plays Minnesota. Back to 75% of the snaps this last week. Expect him to be the guy moving forward. Obviously, Algier will still get work, though, because of Arthur Smith. 10, Kenneth Walker. He plays Baltimore. Rough week this last week, a little banged up. I still think you're playing him in a tough matchup, though. He's just been too good. 11, Tony Pollard. He plays Philly. I'm sure people are surprised by this one. I just think Tony Pollard is too good to not start getting it done. Maybe he's just more injured than I realized, though. But I still have him as a top 11 play this week. 12, DeAndre Swift. He plays at Dallas. Swift has been really good for fantasy football recently. Speaking of a guy who's got it going recently too, Joe Mixon against Buffalo. He's gotten a ton of volume all year, but he's finally started to look good. Like I said, I expect this to be a high-scoring game, and I don't believe Buffalo's defense is what it once was with all the injuries that they suffered. Isaiah Pacheco against Miami. Disappointed this last week, but it was the first game, I believe, in Patrick Mahomes where they never scored a touchdown. Play Isaiah Pacheco. It's a high-scoring matchup. He's a borderline RB1 to me, maybe even RB1 rest of the season probably, so that's how I view him. 15, Gus Edwards. Good matchup for him against Seattle. He's smashed the last 2 weeks. I think the coaching staff has a lot of confidence in running him right now. 16, James Cook against Cincinnati. He's been good. I'm not really that worried about the Leonard Fournette signing. I think Leonard Fournette does different things than he does. Obviously, he's a more formidable pass catcher than Latavius Murray, but I think it's more for goal line. I didn't see James Cook really getting that role either way. 17, Jerome Ford against Arizona. Played last week, was utilized a little bit weird, but I'm assuming with another week of health, monitor progress reports, obviously, but he should hopefully be great to go, and if he is, I think he's a good play, assuming he has a full practice by Friday. 18, Darrell Henderson Jr. Him and Royce Freeman, I think, are a lot closer than people realize, but it's a good matchup for them against Green Bay. Even if they have a backup quarterback, I feel like that game's kind of a toss-up or advantage Rams. So, 19, Zach Moss. I was talking about Jonathan Taylor earlier. It is such a great matchup. Zach Moss is still getting work, so I still think you can play him, and a lot of people are desperate for running back plays. So, you can definitely throw him out there. Ramondre Stevenson, he plays Washington. Ramondre's a guy I want to keep ranking higher. He just really hasn't been producing at the level. The utilization hasn't been what you wanted. He's been more involved in the pass game in recent weeks, but Ezekiel Elliott has been a thorn in his side that I did not expect. 21, Rachaad White. He's had good weeks the last 2 weeks, and he's getting a ton of volume. He's turning that into points finally. He's a guy a lot of teams are really needy at RB2. If I'm you, I go out for one of these uninspiring options that gets volume, like a Rashad White, somebody like a Chuba Hubbard you can spot start. One of these guys like that you can, even a Ramondre, the volume's not great. Let me think of another back. Probably more guys farther down this list against the weekly matchup. But I would go out there and try to acquire, even like he's starting to fall out of the volume role, but he used to meet this role. Alexander Madison before Cam Akers was there. Role guys like that. Joe Mixon was this guy a few weeks ago, and he's just finishing his RB 20 something. Now he's RB 15 because his usage has been top 10 this year. But I think those are good ideas if you're looking for just something rest on volume, in my opinion. Chubb Hubbard, he was good last week. He was mediocre last week, let's be honest. But he got a ton of work. He plays Indy in a good matchup. Those games have been really high scoring. I think he's a really solid spot start. Amari DiMercato. I always butcher this guy's name, and I know it. For some reason, I cannot. And it's a simple name to pronounce. I just cannot get DiMercato. But he plays Cleveland, tough matchup, but he got a ton of volume in that last week against Baltimore. So that to continue, he's a solid spot start. And then Aaron Jones, I know hasn't been what you wanted, and I don't know if it will be this week, but I think he did outtouch AJ Dillon, and I'm hoping he can get more healthy as the season goes on. But I really don't know what's going on with him in that injury, if I'm being honest. I don't think anyone does. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys so much for watching.